Okay, today we're going to be making some fermented super hot pepper sauce. This stuff can peel paint. I had a huge harvest last year of my scorpion reapers, the ghost peppers, jalapenos, and others that I grew, and they've been sitting in the freezer. So it's time to make some hot sauce with them. So let's get started. So we're going to start chopping the vegetables, and I'm starting with a whole onion. A whole pineapple. If anybody is wondering what the knife I'm using in this video, this is a 240 millimeter, which is the length, Takeda Gyuto. He makes fabulous knives, and they're worth every penny. There's no rhyme or reason to the size, really, when you're chopping this. You just want it in some kind of large chunks, not too small, not too big. And here come the peppers. Nasty, nasty, brutal, hot things they are. Now I'm just going to at least put a cut into them, if not all the way through. I don't want any air pockets when I'm fermenting. I've seen some people do them whole, but that's not the way I prefer to do it. So here are the onions I cut up, as you can see, kind of the same size as the pineapple. You get the idea. I picked up this bag of pre-peeled garlic, no measurement. It was easier than peeling it myself. The pineapple. And the hot peppers. Notice I'm wearing gloves for a reason. Gonna peel some carrots and chop them up. I'm also going to add some ground ginger that I had on hand because I forgot to buy some fresh ginger, but it'll do. Okay, it's time to put everything into this fermentation container. So this container is called an E-Gen. I believe it's E-Jen. It's a Korean fermenting container. They're amazing. You can make sauerkraut, hot pepper sauce, anything that is fermented, like kimchi. You can find them on Amazon and eBay. Okay, I need to make the brine, which is a mixture of 8 cups of filtered water, don't use tap, with a 1/4 cup of canning salt. Canning salt has no additives. Make sure you measure both of these as precise as possible. It matters. Make sure you whisk it thoroughly to fully combine the salt and the water. Now you take your brine and you cover your vegetables and peppers with it. You see they're floating. I just want to make sure I have enough, which you'll see me test here. There was already the brine into it because that was already 8 cups, half a gallon. It needed a little more. And you can't fudge it. You have to measure this exact, so I had to make 2 full brine recipes. I didn't want to do the math. Okay, here is the inner lid, which holds everything underneath the water, holds everything into the brine, which is necessary. It also has in the middle a little vent hole, which as it starts fermenting, it'll release air. I'm tapping it right here to make sure I get all the air bubbles out. And I'm going to, in the beginning, I'm going to close that little vent. But once it starts fermenting and producing gas, you'll need to open that back up, otherwise it will push the lid up. It's going to sit for a couple of weeks, which is generally when it stops fermenting. The bubbles will stop. I also want to show you, this is the salt that I use, pickling and canning salt. It has no iodine, no additives. It's just pure salt. Okay, it's been a couple of days and you can see all the air bubbles here and you see it fermenting. See the bubbles coming up right there. This is good. They'll come up and they'll go out that little vent. And that external lid, which you see me removing here, is what keeps the smell in because it gets kind of funky. But very, very tasty. Okay, you just saw me remove the little vent seal because it stopped fermenting, so I just put it back in until I could get to it. But as you can see, everything's fermented. The pineapple, the onions are a little translucent as part of the process. In the very middle, you'll see that little white film. That is just a yeast. Kalm, K-A-L-M, I believe it's called, or spelled, excuse me. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. That happens as part of the fermentation process. Now I'm just going to drain this out because we're not going to use the brine. We're just going to use the fermented vegetables and peppers. From this point forward, you'll hear me coughing left and right because this stuff is potent. It is tear gas. So I'm going to be adding some of this to my Vitamix. Wonderful, wonderful machine. Batches at a time because it's too much to do at once. It's going to need a little bit of liquid, so I'm just going to use the white vinegar. This is a recipe, a vinegary recipe, which I prefer. You really don't want to use any more of the brine because it's very salty, and the vegetables picked up plenty of salt in this process. You want to blend this on the highest speed until everything is completely and utterly pulverized. A completely smooth consistency as you see here. Sorry for me sniffling a little bit. This stuff's got my nose running and you're going to be coughing too. It's completely just gassed my house up. Sorry for the fan noise, but as I said before, this stuff's got my house tear gassed. I had to turn the fan on. Okay, we're going to be heating the sauce up for a couple of different reasons. One, to blend all the flavors. Two, to get the temperature of the product above 180 degrees. This is because you need to stop the fermentation, otherwise you can't jar it. If you do and seal it up, it's going to continue to ferment and break the jar. First thing I'm going to add is going to be the juice of a whole lime, and then you'll see me just throw the lime rind into it. That is because there's a lot of lime flavor in the citrus oils in the zest, and why throw that out? So it looks a little thick, so I'm going to be adding a little more vinegar so I get it to the right consistency that I like. As I said before, this is all by preferences. What's going to really matter, and you'll see in a little while, is the pH, which is the acidity of the sauce. It needs to be below 4.2 on the pH scale to be shelf stable. Most of mine are usually in the 3s. Got to taste test it through the process to know what you need to add. And what I need to add is some accent, some MSG. Okay, now listen, there's a lot of MSG haters out there, and I did my research, and it's an individual thing. It makes it pop. It really makes sauces taste good, or most foods, to be honest. It's just a savory salt. But some individuals, and it's an individual thing, are sensitive to it. So if you're one of those individuals, don't use it. That's the only salt I'm going to add, because it's got plenty of salt from the brine that leached into the vegetables. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's getting there. It needs a little more. I'm going to add a little bit of sugar here, just to help cut the edge of that vinegar. Boom, there it is. Good stuff. Now it's time to take out the lime rinds. They have done their job well. Okay, it's well above the 180 it needs. 197, 198. So we're good to go. We've killed all the microorganisms that ferment, so it's safe to jar now. I'm going to take out a little bit to cool in this cup here, so I can use my pH meter on it. You don't test it hot. Okay, right here I'm going to put in some xanthan powder. This is a thickening agent. Now it's plenty thick, but it also helps keeping it emulsified all together. You ever seen some hot sauce? I've seen Tabasco do it and others, to where you look at the jar, it's been sitting for a while, and it's separated. You see like the vinegar at the bottom and stuff at the top, or vice versa. This keeps it from doing that. Okay, and the pH meter says 3.30, well below the 4.2 in pH level that needs to be. It's acidic enough to be shelf stable. So now with hot jars freshly out of the dishwasher, I'm going to pour in the very hot liquid, clean the rim, and then place the lid and a ring onto it. And when it cools, it will create a vacuum and seal them, basically in what we call an open kettle. Nothing's going to grow in these things. So much salt and vinegar is completely shelf stable. But I made sure everything was completely clean. Alright, there you go, all done. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. It's really appreciated you visiting my channel. But also, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel, like and share. It's greatly appreciated. It really helps me out. You have a great day.